Gentlemen, welcome once again to the Think Clinical podcast. My name is Hamza. Another amazing, beautiful day. It's getting colder, so it's getting more difficult to not wear all this heavy stuff and stay warm. So I hope you are staying warm. If you haven't, please try to do so. And remember to subscribe, like, and share. As I always say, this is going to be another exciting episode. So welcome. Today we are going to be talking about patient-centric design. And I have spoken about being patient-centric in so many episodes that I want to make sure that when you are building your product or building your service-based business in healthcare, you are building that with a patient-centric design. You are thinking about the patient and making sure that you don't get the process so convoluted that patients are unable to even appreciate the full value of your design. And it's easy to just get caught up in all the technology. It's easy to get caught up in all the features. It's easy to get caught up in all the scalability stuff that we've spoken about. But the heart of every healthcare solution is the patient. And I have mentioned this in so many episodes, and I'll keep hammering on it. If your innovation doesn't address the needs, the pain points, and the realities of the patient, it simply wouldn't succeed. I will say this again. If your innovation doesn't address the patient's needs, their pain points, and their realities, it simply wouldn't succeed. So this is something that you need to pay attention to as you develop this. So we will discuss patient-centric designs, what that really means, and how you can implement it effectively, as well as just share examples of startups that are doing it so amazingly well. Now, why is patient-centric? Why does it even matter at all for you to think about or build products that are very high? Again, I've said this in so many episodes. The stakes in healthcare business is high. You're not just providing convenience or entertainment. You are providing a product that will determine life or death. And in doing so, you need to be very focused on who is going to be consuming that product and what benefits it's going to have for you. If you do not adopt patient-centric designs, you will see poor adoption rates. That is for sure. You will see negative health outcomes, which is what you don't want to see when you build a solution that's supposed to improve people's health. You will see an erosion of trust between patients and providers, and when that happens, it becomes a huge problem. So if you look at things like the electronic health records, there were a lot of new ones that were built. There were a lot of other ones that were built. A lot of those ones were focused mainly on efficiency. A lot of these ones were focused mainly on making sure that people at the administrative side of things were able to be more efficient. But from a user standpoint, and the user standpoint of the clinicians or the patients, it wasn't the case. So it became difficult for people to use it. So when you have this frustration, people eventually burn out because it becomes too much for them to use. But when you look at companies like MyChart, they succeeded in developing products that interface very well to empower patients to be able to access their medical records. Patients are able to schedule their own appointments, and patients are able to communicate with providers. So when you look at products that focus administratively on administrative efficiency and forget about the user, which will be the patient or the provider, you are going to have a product that's going to be difficult. So MyChart has been very successful in making sure that patients are able to be a part of their scheduling process. They're able to access their documents very easily and everything else that comes with it. So what are the key principles of patient-centric design? The first one is empathy first. You need to understand the patient's journey. So in understanding that, you need to properly map out when this patient is coming into my clinic or my hospital or my healthcare space, what pain points or frustrations would they be facing? Then you have to use techniques like interviews, like surveys, to gain even more insight, because your assumptions could be false. So what you need to be looking at is, how can I map out their experience and what could they be facing? So you need to put yourself in their position, but then you also need to get more information to back whatever you think you know about what frustrations or pain points they'll be having. Now you need to co-create this with patients. Now I'll say that this would come on the surface level to sound very unreasonable, but if you can involve patients in the design from the start, where you keep getting continuous feedback, and the word is continuous feedback from patients or a group of people who can just use it and tell you what they think and like how they feel about it, it is going to help you a lot. The third thing is that when we are building these products, we tend to think so in such a complex manner that when patients start to even interface with this product, they don't even know how to navigate it. Make sure you simplify the experience. When they are, I don't want to even be looking at my healthcare stuff or my healthcare records, because sometimes the information that I get or the news I get is not pleasant news. So I don't even want. So if you make that journey even more difficult, it makes it difficult for patients to even use the product. So make it as simple as you can. The fourth thing is that accessibility is key. You need to enhance and ensure that the solution works for different populations. It shouldn't just be tailored towards a specific demographic. You should make sure it encompasses and is able to provide value for a diverse group of people. And you need to measure, you need to collect data, and you need to know how people are using it and how to continuously refine it so that it would improve the overall experience of people. The common mistakes, and let's look at the common mistakes that you should be ready to avoid. Don't ever design any solution with stakeholders in mind. Once you do that, and again, we do that all the time, you are prioritizing your payers. You are thinking about how you can collect money when you provide service. You are thinking about your providers. You are thinking about your investors, but you forget about the patient. When you do that, you need to be sure that the patient is not going to have the best experience with your product. So your role will be to balance those needs with what patients would expect and what your stakeholders would expect. 2, when you overcomplicate the features on your product, it doesn't become patient-centric. You need to avoid adding too many features that overwhelm patients. You want to make it as helpful as possible. We understand, we know you have a beautiful idea, but the more complicated it gets, the less your adoption rates. That's the fact. Always start small, launch with an MVP, which is a minimum viable product, and expand based on your user needs. That's the way to go for any tech startup. Don't build the full product when you do not understand exactly what the people would want. Start with an MVP and keep refining until you have the full product. When you ignore diversity, that's creating one size fits all for everyone, thinking that your product is the solution to everyone's problem. That's where you fail. And when you skip usability testing, that's going to be another very huge bad situation for you. So these are some of the things that you really need to avoid. I said I'll share some success stories with you. I'll give an example. The first one is Capsule Pharmacy, and they have revolutionized the pharmacy experience a lot. And as I said, they have focused a lot on customer experience, taking feedback from customers, incorporating into what needs to be improved, and providing more services and making sure that people can track their prescriptions in real time. If you look at a company like Medtronic's insulin pumps, they partner with diabetes patients and they built the product with them. That's patient-centric designing, because they were able to make a product that was more user-friendly and way more intuitive. We look at Boy Health. They use AI to guide patients through symptom checks, they provide more personalized health advice. And they just provide more clarity and reassurance, so it's not stressful to navigate at all. So these are some of the things that you need to look at when you're looking at patient-centric care. As we always do, I will leave you with some actionable items and some actionable tips. 1, create patient-centric personas. That's the first action you can take if you want to produce patient-centric designs. Develop a detailed persona representing your target user. Include all the demographics and all the challenges and all the goals and the behaviors that they may have. And that's where you start from. And then you pilot your solution. So once you test your product or service with a small group of patients, you are going to get some feedback. They are going to tell you how easy it is to use, how much they like to use it, or how much they don't like to use it. And then based on that, you are able to now make a decision based on that feedback loop. So build a feedback loop where you establish mechanisms where they just keep giving you feedback, even when your product is finally launched and it's in the market. So those are the 3 things. Always create the patient persona first. Pilot it with a small group of patients when you finally develop the MVP. Get feedback, develop the product, launch it, and just build a feedback loop. That's how you create the patient-centric design. I hope this was helpful. This has been another exciting episode of the Think Clinical podcast. Thank you so much, and have a beautiful weekend.